Hey everyone, it's Mr. Obvious here. And today, on the Daily Caller, we're going to be talking about the following story. Boston Public Schools suspend advanced program because the officials were disturbed by the number of Asian and white students.
Oh, for God's sake. You just hate me because I'm black.
So a Boston public school has just canceled their accelerated learning program, like for gifted children, because they're upset that the classroom didn't promote diversity. They said that 70% of the students were either white or Asian, and that they had to shut it down. The first thing that I notice about this story, which really grinds my gears, is that they said, oh, look, first of all, Asians are minorities in America. What do you mean? I mean, they're minority people of color. But according to the modern left, if you're an Asian, apparently you're not a minority. This is one of the most disturbing pieces of news I've heard, but you know what? I think we're used to this by now. How many times in education have we seen woke political correctness completely and utterly hijacking the system? So we're going to talk about this story, folks. We're also going to talk about Amazon banning books and how Jim Banks says the GOP is finished unless they support Donald Trump to be the president in 2024. But before we get into this, folks, a quick word from our sponsor. Did you know that modern soap and soap accessories,
propane and propane accessories,
did you know that modern soap and shampoo have a lot of toxic chemicals, including phenyl type chemicals, which will turn you into a woman? No? Well, you might want to check out Hero Soap Company. They offer all natural soaps and shampoos made from completely real ingredients. It's good for men, it's good for women, it's good for everybody. High quality soap, and you'll be supporting veterans. Click the link down below to get your soap today. The article begins. An advanced program for high-performing students at Boston Public Schools was suspended after district officials determined the program would not promote anti-racism due to the disproportionate number of Asian and white students. GBH News reported. Brenda Calisius recommended the school focus on reforming its anti-racist policies, according to GBH News. So that woman is behind it all. So it looks like another woke woman is responsible for this stuff. Here on Twitter with GBH News, they kind of talk about this story, and they say that the reason that they're shutting down the advanced program is to help promote racial diversity. Here, let me ask you something. They said that 70% of the classroom was white and Asian. Never mind the fact that Asians are minorities, in America at least. What about the other 30%? They're heavily implying that 30% of the classroom were black, African, Hispanic, whatever, non-white. They didn't just shut down the program for the white and Asian kids. They shut down the program for black and Hispanic kids, too. Now that's clown world if I ever saw it. Now Justin here has the perfect tweet. He says, can't make everyone equally smart, so make everyone equally dumb. You know, this is a really good point, and this is something that I've seen from the modern left way too much. It's like they want to drag everybody down to the same level. They don't believe in meritocracy, which is being hired on merit. They believe that everything should be based on your skin color. And that's the problem with the left-wing agenda, despite the fact that the world is not equal. Some people are born smarter, some people are dumber, some people are taller, some people are smaller. That's just how it works. Unfortunately, not everybody can be smart, and you also have to consider demographics. For example, African Americans make up roughly, 12 or 13% of the US population. It really makes sense that if you had an advanced program for students, 12% of them would be black, because that is proportional to the population. Instead, we're living in a world where diversity means making half of anything, whether it's an advanced student program, whether it is actors in a movie, half black. It makes no sense. There's only 13% of the population that is black. So if you put 50% of them in the movies, in the classrooms, you are overrepresenting that group. There are other groups. What about Asians, Chinese, Korean, Japanese? They are not the same. In fact, they would find it highly offensive if you said, well, what's the difference between a Chinese person and these other groups? There is a difference. They are Asian, but they are of different creeds. It's kind of like saying that all white people are the same when there's your Irish, there's Poland, there's Germany, there's the Russians. Those are very different groups, very different cultures. But what was this woman's rationale behind this? She says, there's been a lot of inequity that have been brought to light in the pandemic that we have to address, Cecilia said. According to GBH News, quote, there's a lot of work we have to do in the district to be anti-racist and have policies where all of our students have a fair and equitable, there you go, an excellent education. There's really no other way to say it. You cannot make the world equitable. It is simply impossible. This reminds me, every time the left talks about equality, of the story of Harrison Bergeron. You've probably heard this story before. It's by Kurt von Gut Jr. The year was 2081, and everybody was finally equal. They weren't only equal before God and the law, they were equal in every which way. Nobody was smarter than anybody else. Nobody was better looking than anybody else. Nobody was stronger or quicker than anybody else. All this equality was due to the 211th, 212th, and 213th Amendments to the Constitution, to the unceasing vigilance of agents of the United States Handicapper General. Now, that is the first paragraph from Harrison Bergeron, a famous story about the year 2081. Essentially, if you're born smarter in this world, they put a device on your head that scrambles your brain, so you don't think too much. If you're a talented dancer, they make you wear sandbags so you can't dance as well. The story is about the fallacy of equality and equity. Making everybody equal for equal's sake is evil. And that's the world we're headed to. By shutting down this advanced program, they are essentially dragging everybody down so that everyone has to be finally equal. So we're here on the Daily Wire, the end of conservative books. Amazon is quietly banning books they deem offensive. They're calling it hateful speech. We know this is absolute nonsense, probably just an excuse to censor conservatives. Conservatives are sounding the alarm about an updated Amazon policy that bans books the ubiquitous billion-dollar company deems offensive or includes so-called hate speech. As noted by the Daily Wire, Amazon is ramping up its censorship of conservative views. They banned a book about Clarence Thomas. They banned Ryan Anderson's book, which was critical of gender theory. But here's where it's dangerous, folks. With all of these pushes for equity, and with all these digital book bans, we're beginning to approach a world where nobody is allowed to succeed. They're practically burning books. Matt Walsh says it best. If Amazon decides to label conservative books hate speech, that's effectively the end of conservative books. Publishers won't bother publishing books that can't be sold on Amazon. This is a hugely important issue. I don't think it is getting the attention it deserves. And last on today's bracket, here on Breitbart, Jim Banks says, the GOP is destined to lose if they erase Donald Trump, lose connection with working class voters. Now, I've been saying this before anybody in the media has been saying it, but if Republicans, GOP, and Trump supporters want to win in 2024, we have to have Trump on the ticket. He must be the nominee for president. Now, there's some people who are upset with Trump. They think that he didn't do enough while he was in office. They're mad that the election was essentially taken from him by Biden and by the Democrats. You may have your own interpretation. Many people think it was a legitimate election. Many people think that there are questions about this election that have never been answered. I personally think that at this point, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter. It matters a lot, actually, but my point is, Trump is the only person who can win in 2024. No one else. Who are they going to run? Ted Cruz? Maybe. But I don't see them electing anybody else. Nobody else has a chance. So Banks said at a panel with House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy and American Conservative Union Chairman Matt Schlapp, whoa, what a name, Schlapp, So there are dissenters in the GOP and Republican Party who want to get rid of Trump. I think it's because they're corrupt cronies and fake Republicans. Maybe they're just salty, I don't know. But I think that the GOP and the Republican Party would be completely stupid to not support Trump this time around. They should have supported him last time around, but they have to, because nobody else will win but Trump. These 4 years of Joe Biden already suck. They suck for literally everybody. Even Sank Yogurt was complaining on Twitter. Oh, Biden, he didn't give us the stimulus. He was bombing Syria. Oh my God. And freaking out, right? But it's good to know that there are people who really do think that Trump is the only guy. He's the main honcho, the big kahuna. He's Trump. Even Mitch Turtle McConnell has said that if Trump runs in 2024, he's going to give him his support. A backstabber himself. Take that as you will, but that, my friends, is merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. What do you think about this story? What do you think about these issues? Let me know down below in the comments section. Please slap that like button, smash the subscribe button, so that you can keep getting updates for more content. You want to support the channel? Join me on Patreon or Subscribe Store. Gonna be working more on exclusive content in the near future. Anyhow, thanks for watching. This has been Mr. Obvious, and I'll see you all next time.